Good afternoon. I am Trooper Linnea Crane. I'm the Public Information Officer for Troop E. This investigation is very sensitive in nature, and due to it involving juveniles, we will be limited to how many questions we can actually answer today. At this time, I would like to introduce the Wayne County First Assistant District Attorney, Christine Kalan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yesterday, an indictment was returned by the Wayne County Grand Jury charging 3 juveniles with aggravated sexual abuse in the first degree, hazing in the first degree, as well as forcible touching. Additionally, there was another juvenile that was charged with unlawful surveillance in the second degree, 2 counts. That indictment was unsealed before Judge Healy. The defendants were all arraigned, released to the custody of their parents, and given return dates in front of Judge Healy for the 15th as well as the 16th for a review in the youth part of Wayne County Court. As you previously heard, this is a sensitive case in nature, both based on the age of the defendants, but as well as the victim. So at this point, we will do our best to answer questions as we can, but the law is very strict, not only as to what we can disclose in regards to the regular course of criminal investigations, but especially when it comes to the nature of these charges, the ages of the victims and the defendants, and it is a continuing and ongoing investigation. Go ahead.
Can you talk about youth part and explain, are they going to be charged as juveniles, or are they going to be charged as adults? Does it depend on the individual?
So right now, based on the New York State law, they are in the youth part. The determination is to the final adjudication as to youthful offender, juvenile offender, all of those things will come out through the course of the case in that part. So some things are mandated by their ages and required under New York State law. Other things will be left to the discretion of the court.
What could trigger, what could trigger a change from the youth part to an adult?
Well, it wouldn't be going into any other part other than the youth part. What would be a determination would be their adjudication. If they are adjudicated a youthful offender versus remaining just juvenile offenders, those have different merits under the law, and again, those get determined by the court. But based on the new laws in New York State and raise the age, they are required to be in youth part, which is a separate part of county court being considered. So it's separate and distinct from family court. It is a county court, however, they are being handled in that part.
And if convicted of these crimes, what type of sentencing would each of these young people face?
That would all, again, determine on what the adjudication is at the end of whatever the disposition is reached. So if they are adjudicated a youthful offender, that defines what the sentence range could potentially be versus if they are not granted such an adjudication. So there's a long way ahead of this case. As you're all aware, the charges stem from Halloween, October 31st. So with the great work of the Clyde Police Department, the Wayne County Sheriffs, and the New York State Troopers, we were able to get this case in front of the Wayne County Grand Jury in a short time. However, there's still a lot of work to be put in, a lot of work to do, and a far road ahead in regards to the ultimate adjudication as it comes with the youth part in front of Judge Healy.
With the 3 defendants who are looking at the 3 different charges, what's the difference? So if they're charged and they move forward as youthful offender versus the other, or what's the difference time-wise that they might be looking at behind bars, or what could be the different sentences?
Again, it is a range. There's a substantial range, and if they are adjudicated a youthful offender versus a juvenile offender, that changes whether the records would be public knowledge or sealed. There's a lot of implications that come out of these type of charges now and the changes that have been made and raise the age. So unfortunately, it's such a range at this point. It could really be anything right now. Like I said, we're right at the beginning. The indictment was just returned. We've got a 6-day review coming up with Judge Healy, and from there, we'll determine the action of the cases moving forward.
What about actions that could be taken with regard to individuals who have shared this video? Any child pornography charges that could be levied?
Right now, like I stated, it still is an ongoing investigation. We've had basically 2 weeks at this point of finding out what had occurred and then assembling law enforcement, again, working together, the Wayne County Sheriffs, the New York State Troopers, and the Clyde Police Department, all coming together. I mean, it's substantial because it's not only a football team, it's a school. It's an entire community. So as information is received and leads are developed, I know law enforcement continues to follow up, and we consider it an active and ongoing investigation.
To that effect, can you confirm that all the defendants were members of the Clyde-Savannah football team?
I can't get into any facts in regards to the underlying indictment, just the charges that you've heard, the general ages that you've heard that were released previously. Other than that, we won't go into the specifics of the case.
Do you anticipate at any point during this case releasing the names of the defendants?
It will not be released by my office, no.
Are there more suspects?
There isn't anything specific that I can comment on other than the fact that it will continue to be an ongoing investigation. And law enforcement and this community take it very seriously. So if there is something that is found that should be pursued criminally or any other type of prosecution that would be appropriate, we will move forward with that.
As you said, there's a wide range here when it comes to potential charges and what they might face. Is there any scenario in which they could face jail time or prison time?
Yes, generally, yes. But again, at this point, it's so early to be commenting on what could the actual outcome be that it really wouldn't be appropriate. But yes, there is a potential, of course, yes.
And federal, has the U.S. Attorney's Office reached out to you? Has your office reached out to the Attorney's Office? I mean, could there be federal charges involved?
At this point, we have not had any contact with any federal law enforcement. I can't speak to if any of the other law enforcement agencies has, but personally, my office has not.
In the press release that we received from the Clyde Police, it explicitly said that it did occur in the locker room. Was there an adult present in the locker room?
Again, I'm not going to comment anything specifically regarding the allegations or the incident.
I think people are trying to understand if there were more people, if anybody looked the other way. And I know you're not commenting on specifics, but you know, we've had things in our community happen where they're at another school district. And I think we're just trying to get a handle on that people are concerned about that. Was the locker room filled with other kids? Was it just the 4 students and the victim? Were there adults in the school district that were aware of this? I think there's a larger question here, and that's what I think might be the larger picture that people are concerned about.
And I don't think anyone standing up here misses that there is that larger picture and that there are those larger questions. This is a small, tight-knit community. That football team was having an amazing season. A lot of things came to an end very quickly, and there's been limited information. However, although we understand that, I have an obligation, and everyone that stands up here has an obligation to doing the criminal investigation the appropriate way, seeing that through in court, and respecting the rules and laws that we have to when it comes to charges like these that involve children, both as defendants and as victims. And that is our priority. And I know this community is suffering. I know they're reeling. I know parents have a lot of questions, but unfortunately, that is just something at this point we cannot answer.
And obviously, you can't get into details, but you've seen the details, and we, like much of the community, we've seen the rumors and the guesses and all that. It's very disturbing. What's your take, having been up close, I'm guessing, having had conversations with the victim's family? What's your take at this point?
The allegations in this case are serious. These allegations are something that merited an indictment that was returned by the grand jury. These allegations will be prosecuted in the youth part. That, I believe, speaks on its own. Without going into specifics, without being able to actually talk about the allegations or the facts underlying it, those allegations are before the court because this incident was of that type of nature that resulted in the grand jury returning that indictment.
Going back one more time to prosecution, so there's no possibility that there will be tried as adults. It's juvenile versus youth.
It will remain in the youth part right now. Like I said, we have a return date in front of Judge Healy for what's known as a 6-day review in that part to determine if it will continue in county court, and that's the determination. But yes, with the change in the legislation in New York State, they will remain in the youth part.
And Sheriff, I don't know if you want to comment at all, just on, if you or someone else wants to just speak about the community reaction and just address I think, the emotions and shock that's involved with this, and just kind of Like Ms. Callahan said, like Ms. Callahan said, I'm going to reiterate what she had said to you earlier. Yes, this is a very tight-knit community. Yes, there are a lot of rumors. There's a lot of speculation out there. But in order to honor the investigation, we just can't comment. And I think if I went into any sort of commentary, I would be remiss. So I would rather not make any comments at all about the investigation.
It's my understanding that the video of the alleged incident has circulated amongst the school community. Is there anything you would say to address that fact, perhaps to the students?
Nothing that we haven't said already, other than, the investigation is ongoing, and we will continue to look at things. We'll be continuing to work with the state police as well as the Clyde Police Department and the district attorney's office. And if the investigation warrants any further charges, you will know.
We're just going to take one more question.
So these teens have been released to their families. Are they going to school? How is the district handling that? These defendants?
I couldn't comment on it.
Okay.
Well, can we, is the mayor or somebody just to answer?
Thank you so much for your guys' time today.